Recording in progress.
Welcome in the latest episode of the Bet in the Pitch Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, _G Warner. Tonight we'll be going through England, Spain, Italy, France, and Germany. Going to get a best bet from each of the leagues. We'll nominate one for the ultimate best bet coming end of show, and that'll be on the @_G Warner YouTube and Instagram accounts, likely before the kickoff of that match. Also want to shout out Bet in the Pitch Apple Podcast and on Spotify if you want to get your podcast there. You're already there. 5-star reviews, comments, all those sort of things are great for us. Subscribers are awesome. We did a college basketball podcast on this same channel with Big East Ben earlier tonight, just he and I. This week, as we had 4 people on last week, including myself, 3 the week before that, but a little bit lighter of a team this time. But we went a little bit deeper, went on some other topics, not just getting 4 people, individuals' thoughts on games, but we'll be doing that the rest of the season, including a Monday night episode as we start going more and more for the NCAA tournament. I'm the _G Warner. You can find me on all social media platforms. Check out patreon.com/_G Warner if you want my plays across all sports, including a college basketball one that's coming up very shortly. Might be taking a little bit of a breather during this podcast to get a play in there, waiting on some movement, and we'll see what ends up happening. But it's time to get started. Hopefully everyone is in here that's going to join us live Friday night. Kind of taking a little bit of time out of my Friday night to try to get this out for you. Hopefully that is what everyone will appreciate and enjoy, which is exactly part of why I do it, pretty much. For you all, also for myself, I'll be honest, it's a good little practice to get me ready for everything that's coming this direction. But we'll start in the English FA Cup this weekend instead of the Premier League, as there's a weekend off for most of the teams. There's the round of 16. We have some smaller clubs in here, so there's going to be some games I don't spend much time on. For example, the first matchup, which is Mansfield, a 2 3/4 goal underdog at home to Arsenal. Biggest question for when you have an FA Cup match between a team that's trying to win the Premier League, Champions League, and everything that's out there, Carabao Cup, all those sort of things. Well, how much do they care about this competition? I expect them to care. But how much do they care? And honestly, on the other side, how competent is Mansfield? I don't know much about them. Right now, the spread is 2 3/4 on the home underdog. Right now, juiced pretty heavily to the underdog, which is a little bit surprising me. Total's 3 3/4. This one juiced heavily to the under. If anything, I would probably lean under here, but I think I want the full 4. It's nowhere near the number I made it, so I try to take caution in those events. And that's a very early 6:15 Central Time start on Saturday morning here in the United States. I'll move next to Wrexham hosting Chelsea. Wrexham of the Ryan Reynolds fame. They're 1 1/4 goal underdogs at home to Chelsea. We are seeing 30-cent lines here, so pretty expensive, very juiced Chelsea side at this point. Total this one is 3 1/4, 3.25, and it's 4 cents more juice to the under. I was going to say it's a lot of juice, but 16-cent lines during the Premier League regular season and their regular matches versus FA Cup is quite different. But not sure I have a lot of interest here. I'm not sure that Wrexham are very good. They do have a lot of fanfare, and that's generally where I don't want to be when I'm making a bet. We'll move next to Newcastle hosting Manchester City as a home underdog. They have played extra matches with Champions League, while Man City, I think, had a bye, if I'm not mistaken. But Newcastle, they're a really great home team. Haven't got a lot of love, including this week hosting Manchester United. So this is a quick turnaround for them. I'm curious to see what the lines look like. But that's definitely my biggest interest on Saturday. This Newcastle, a home underdog of 1/4 goal. Move next to Sunday, early kickoff, 6 a.m. local time, 7 a.m. Eastern. Fulham, 1-goal favorite at home right now to Southampton. A little bit more juice on the home team. Total in this one is 3, just a little bit more to over. Southampton have fallen to the championship. They still have, and they're known for growing really talented players. We'll see what that does, and I'm not really sure I want much to do with this matchup on the road at Fulham. Next, go to Port Vale, a 1 1/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice to Sunderland. Total in this one is, and we've actually seen a little bit of movement down, so we've seen some money coming in on Sunderland so far as a big road favorite. Total in this one, I thought I had, is now 2.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily to over at the moment. Lean to under, if anything, with any Sunderland matchups, but there might be a big void in class here, or gap in class, and that does concern me quite a bit, even playing an under. Move next to Leeds hosting Norwich City. Norwich City have been battling with Leeds for a while. Former Norwich City manager is the Leeds manager as we speak, or as I speak to you all. Norwich are trying to get into the Premier League again after falling to the championship. That's kind of like the yo-yo club history, and that's kind of what they do. Pretty juiced right now are Norwich City at 1.25 goal underdogs on the road at Leeds in a really tough place to play. Total is 3, just very heavily. If anything, I lean under here. I love that push on 3. Don't want to lose it, and we'll see what happens. To the next matchup, we have one and last final matchup on Monday. West Ham United quarter goal underdogs at home to Brentford, who have been long forever a great home team, weak road team. We'll see if that continues. Total in this one's 2.75, just a little bit more to over 2 cents difference here. West Ham are interesting as a home underdog just because I think Brentford have been, their road splits have been bad for years. They've been great this year, a lot because they've won a lot of home games and we're high up the Premier League table. But this is a different competition. West Ham, though, are fighting relegation. And I think my biggest concern, if I put my neck out there and played West Ham, is to see what type of lineup they're using, because I'm not really sure what it'll look like, because they certainly are more fearful about falling in the championship than they are hoping to win the the FA Cup. So for our best bet from the FA Cup, let's go to that Sunday matchup. Leeds hosting Norwich City. We'll go Norwich under 3 goals. Leeds Norwich under 3 goals is my best bet from the English FA Cup. We'll now move to La Liga, which is bizarre to have Real Madrid playing on Friday of all times, but I guess they made Barca play on a Monday, so I guess it's time to put Real Madrid on a Sunday. We'll go to Osasuna hosting Mallorca in the early matchup, 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time here on Saturday. Mallorca currently a 3/4 goal underdog with a lot of juice right now. They've had a really horrible season. I think the manager did not work out. It's pretty clear to say that. Right now, the total in this one is 2.25, and it's just about where I'd expect it. Honestly, I think it's about even here. Minus 111 currently to the under, so 2 cents more to the under. I honestly could have seen a higher total there, I guess. Or higher juice, I guess is the best way to put it. Mallorca are going to go defend. Osasuna have been much better at home over the years. Mallorca much worse away. I think I'm less interested in backing the road underdog, which does worry me a little bit about the total, but it's about where I made it. And I feel like there's still value on playing unders in Spain's La Liga. Move next to Levante, a pick'em at home to Girona. Right now, all the juice is on Girona away from home, plus 103 on Levante at a pick'em. Total in this was 2.5, and it is juiced a little bit more to under. Levante have not been really an under team, despite being a promoted club that should be focused on defense. I think they've tried to take a more risky approach, and it hasn't worked out very well for them. Girona, with an awful start to the season, deserve to be favored here. Have been playing a lot better, have spent some money, which is important. I guess there's not really a lot for me that I want to do here unless we see Girona move to a favorite. And even then, I probably won't want to touch this one or get too intimately involved here. Atletico Madrid then hosts Real Sociedad as both come off Copa del Rey midweek. Atleti with a huge lead against Barcelona. Real Sociedad with a slender lead against Basque Derby rival Athletic Club. Certainly, both these teams were going for it. Best chances at trophies for both these teams. 3/4 goal underdogs right now are Real Sociedad on the road. All the juice on Atleti. We'll see if they climb to a 1 full goal underdog. I'm interested in Real Sociedad. It's tough to fade Atleti at home because that's where they win their matches and get most of their points. Real Sociedad have been playing very well under Pellegrino Matarazzo. I think at this point, I'm waiting for the one to hit to play the side. Total's a lot lower than I made it, so I guess we'll see if that should move to 2.75. I don't think it'll get all the way to 3. To the nightcap on Saturday, we have what do we have? We have Athletic Club. They are hosting Barcelona. Speaking of Copa del Rey participants, especially considering they're literally swapping partners, it seems, as awkward as that could sound. Total in this one is 3, juiced very heavily to over, which does not reflect how Athletic Club play. Total the spread is 3/4 of goal underdogs are Athletic Club with all the juice in Barca. We'll see likely a move to a full goal of insurance similar to Real Sociedad. I will be interested in Athletic Club. They have one less day to prepare. It's big for them to be at home at San Mamés, but I really want to see how healthy they are. Athletic Club have really struggled with Champions League this year. Nico Williams has been struggling with a pelvis problem. That's been really problematic for them. Totals under. I'm not really interested with Barcelona at this point. So it's really only interest to me in a team that can't score goals, trying to keep up with Barcelona, even with +1. That does feel a little far-fetched. Move to Sunday. Villarreal hosting Elche. Currently Elche a full 1 goal underdog. All the juice on Villarreal, as there's a lot of love for the yellow submarine, the Submarino Amarillo. And currently Elche are 1 goal underdogs. They've started the year off really well, and Spain's La Liga, but it's not been as easy of a time for them since. Villarreal have been awesome in La Liga as well, but that's not something I've believed in either. So I think I like underdog and under, but fading the Yellow Submarine in the Stadio Ceramica is a tough place and tough thing to do. Moving next to Getafe, they're a pick'em as I wear their kit. They are a pick'em at home to Real Betis. Total in this one is a 2, very juiced to under as well, which is certainly not reflect the way Real Betis plays their matchups or plays football. They're a goal scoring team, but ultimately Getafe are going to dictate how this game goes. They'll be able to be more physical at home and not fear for too many fouls. I have no real interest in playing Getafe. I just don't trust them to score goals, but that does certainly play towards under. Sevilla then hosts Rayo Vallecano. Currently Sevilla a pick'em at home, despite Rayo playing an extra match midweek against Oviedo at home. Total this one's 2.25, and it's used pretty heavily to under right now. I'm not sure I'm really a believer in Rayo at this point. In a tough, quick turnaround. Yes, they were playing Europa Conference League this year, but they were playing scrub or rotating for that. Sevilla have been rebuilding, certainly are nowhere near the name that's across their chest or on their crest. But I also like Rayo Vallecano to dictate the matchup in this way and playing a really brutally tight defensive game. But I'm not really sure that we'll see a lot of goals, and that certainly plays, I guess, towards the first goal to be the winner. Rayo Vallecano certainly okay with goalless draws, it seems like, in their strategies, makeup, and all those sort of things. So I'm fairly interested in Sevilla at home as a pick'em. It's very juiced at the moment. We'll see where this one goes with lineups and see where it closes. Last on Sunday, Valencia are hosting Alaves. Currently, Valencia a half a goal favorite at home right now, with all the juice on it. Alaves likely going to fall or jockey between a quarter of a goal and a half of a goal. In terms of the total here, it is a 2, which is probably more reflecting the style that Alaves play, which is very physical and don't have a lot of goals in them. Moving to Monday, Espanyol, they are half a goal underdogs. Espanyol half a goal favorites at home. Juice is split both ways, -110 to Oviedo, who played earlier this week. Total this one's 2.25. Juice is split both ways there too. So no real indicator where Monday's movement will go. But I think at this point for me, Oviedo, they have played a lot more competitive matches, but they really struggled to score goals. So under, I think, is my biggest interest in that Monday matchup. From Spain, I guess I think I cut through a little bit too much of the Valencia Alaves matchup. I do like the road underdog, and I do like the under here, both a little bit. Not as much value in the number, unfortunately, lower than I made it, and exactly what I had, and very juiced right now. And Alaves right now as an underdog. There is some interest for me there. I think ultimately, to me, Rayo Vallecano playing an extra match this week against a La Liga competitor does seem like a difficult place. So let's go Sevilla, Rayo, under 2.25 goals in that matchup. We'll now go to Italy. Let's navigate there to make sure I don't mess that up. Come on, baby. Let's get there as soon as possible. Thanks, Joe Dollar, for coming in the podcast. As always, really appreciate you coming in here. I was really hoping to get Ben's insight across Europe. Yeah, me too, man. I've been offering Ben the chance to slick back his hair, Big East Ben that is, and come on and talk some football betting. But I don't know that he actually knows the rules to soccer, so that might be a bit of a problem for us. We'll see if it ends up coming some point down the line. I don't know necessarily that it will, but thanks for the long-time support. Joe Dollar, long-time Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/real_G Warner. Always here. Appreciate your support. And let's try to get some winners this weekend. That's the goal. In terms of what the heck else I'm doing here, I'm trying to, I guess, check in and make sure everything's working, but I've been meaning to navigate towards the Italian numbers here. So give me 1 second and I will move over there. Okay, we're back. So we'll start in Italy in a early morning matchup, 8 a.m. local time here in Dallas. I guess not that early, but I'll take it. Cagliari, currently 3/4 goal underdogs at home to Como, who have been, closing a favorite to Napoli in the Coppa Italia and advancing past them, closing as a pick'em, but still favorite to Inter Milan in the first leg in the Coppa Italia semifinal this week. That's saying something. There's a lot of respect for them, especially away from home. I'm not sure I agree fully. I do know Cagliari are going to defend, though, so I like under 2.25 goals here. The 3/4 goal underdogs are large. I think we get a +1. I will play it, and it looks like it probably is there across the marketplace. Atalanta then hosts Udinese in they play Coppa Italia as well. So quick turnarounds here from Tuesday and Wednesday matches to Saturday morning. Rougher for Atalanta, who had played on the road at Lazio. But here's a 3/4 goal favorite are Atalanta at home. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced more to the under. Pretty much Udinese are they're hard to put my finger on. They've been a club that developed a lot of talent in the past. I'm not really sure they're that same club at this point. They do have, I think, more talented players or more mature players than they've had in the past, but I don't know necessarily if I feel great about kind of how they've put it all together or what they're necessarily doing. And we're 5 minutes from the scheduled tip-off time of Illinois State and Northern Iowa. I know big game for a lot of you out there, but I'm going to do a quick pause on this episode, try to get those bets in because I'm a little concerned that my sports books will not move off the initial starting time of these matchups and I might miss the tips. So if you could just hang in with me for a second as I try to find the best price that's available for all this stuff that's out there. Currently checking the +1.5 full game number and the +1/2 first half number. Looks like we got a -105 available on Illinois State +1.5. So I'm going to go with that one. I think it seems like I have pretty much the same sports books that use very similar numbers, but sometimes they diverge a little bit. So let's go. So that bet is in on Illinois State in the +1.5 full game. They're the lower seed here, or better seed, which is a little bit scary to back that, I'll say. And there's a lot of that posturing that's going to need to go on in the arena this year as we go into college basketball tournament season, where honestly, I'm going to be looking to back as many underdogs as possible. We'll see if that ends up happening, but I don't know necessarily if it will. Okay, we've got that one there. So we are now in on the side. Let's get that first half number as well. We're in the full game side. So let's go. We got half a point, and that's -110. We've got half a point that's -110, and we've got half a point that's -110. So it looks like we'll go for that split because I like to have the same amount of, just in case there's better options at other places. I know this is probably not the most riveting of podcast stuff, but here we are, and apologies for that, but we'll get through it very shortly. I will do this, I'll do that, and one more. I'd like to screenshot just because I've made incorrect bets before and wanted to make sure that it was me and not being graded incorrectly or placed incorrectly or something like that. So I think we're good now, and it's time to resume the podcast if we can get the last few screenshots out of the way. There we are. One more left to go, and we will be back in business. Okay, we're done. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate all that, of course. And so now let's move back to Italia. So we moved on from Udinese. I like them as a 3/4 goal underdog. Would love to get a full goal of insurance. I don't think we'll get it based on the rest disadvantage that Atalanta hold, but you never know. Bergamo sometimes does dictate a fair amount of money coming in. We'll move next to Pisa on the road at Juventus. Right now, 1 3/4 goal favorites are Juve at home. Total this one is 3, just very heavily to under, and that reflects Pisa not being able to score and Juventus just forever being overvalued. I mean, I'm very interested in the road team here, both under playing a competitive game and also the underdog. At some point, I guess I need to adjust my ranking of Juventus to match the market. Market has loved them despite really poor performances in a lot of places, big favorites, and losing 5-2 on the road to Galatasaray in Champions League, for example. Like things like that are not things that I want to look past, and the market's been in love with them, but c'est la vie. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Lecce, 1/4 goal favorites at home to Cremonese. All the juice right now on Lecce, despite their inability to score goals. Total is 2 in this one. Juice very heavily to under. I don't really want to lose that 2, so I might even play that very soon tonight, something like that, even for a 5:30 kickoff time, Central Time on Sunday. Definitely interested there. Certainly interested in the side, but I'll be waiting to see that climb to a half a goal, especially with initial money. Interested in Lecce, who just don't have goals scored in their team. They don't have goal scorers, and they haven't done that for years, yet somehow remain in the top flight in Italy. Fiorentina then hosts Parma. Currently, Fiorentina 3/4 goal favorites, as the market has finally believed that they are going to avoid relegation after a really rough start to their season, to say the least. That sacked a manager. Parma total here is 2.5. It's juiced a little bit more to over. I don't know that I necessarily feel like Fiorentina plays a low-scoring game anymore. That does worry me for playing Parma away from home. I might just wait for a +1, see if that pops up, and just play the road underdog. We'll move next to Bologna hosting Verona in that same 8 a.m. Central Time zone window. Verona, one goal underdogs on the road at Bologna with all the juice right now. Totals 2.25, juice very heavily to over. Verona have been a team I've been just backing for years and years and years. It does feel like they're in a little bit more trouble than usual. Have sold some of their best talent and unfortunately have not retained much of it, or doesn't seem like they have as much in the past, depth and things of that nature. Genoa then hosts Roma. Currently Genoa half-goal underdogs at home with a juice split both ways. Totals 2.25, and it's used very heavily to under. And that's I think a response to how little there has been from the Roma offense so far this season. I'm less interested in the road underdog, though I think it makes some sense that they would correlate, of course, but I think we see a competitive game and a low-scoring one at that. Milan then hosts Inter in a battle of the fashionista cities, basically, or same city. Inter quarter-goal favorites right now on the road. Technically, though, they're playing in San Siro in their home stadium. They will not have the crowd, though, and that is a big deal. Total was 2.5, juice very heavily to under, which is about what I made it. I made it 2.464286. So price is about on. Just juice is pretty expensive, though, and could tick down to 2.25. We've seen derbies play really competitive matches that don't have a lot of goals in them. That's certainly the way I lean in that matchup. And I do have an interest in Milan as well, just because I think Inter, they got knocked out of Champions League. Yes, that might have focused them more. They did rotate a lot for their Coppa Italia match midweek. A lot, I think, because this derby was coming up this weekend. But we'll see what they can kind of get together, because it's been a rough run, considering they should have had a bye in Champions League, struggled to clinch that, and then never did, and then lost in the first round to a team from Norway. Not great for them, to say the least, but they are still, I think, the eventual Italian Serie A champions. Moving to Monday, we have Lazio coming off of their Coppa Italia midweek. They are quarter-goal favorites at home to newly promoted Sassuolo. Total in this one is 2.25, just a little bit more to under. I'm pretty interested, honestly, in the Sassuolo side here, potentially catching Lazio a little bit gas from that midweek matchup. It's not a big price, though, and it's probably one that I want to be bigger than it currently is. For the ultimate best bet nominee from the Italian portion of the show, I'm very interested in the Derby di Milano, I got to say. Inter is a road favorite coming off rotation, but a Coppa Italia semifinal first leg midweek. That says something. I think we see a low-scoring match. I'll go under 2.5 as my best bet from Italy. Inter visiting AC Milan. Next, go to French Ligue 1, and then we'll get to the German Bundesliga, and then get the heck out of here. Record this, upload it wherever it needs to be. Thank you all for listening. Likes, subscriptions, all those sort of things are really helpful, and we'll build our brand. Guarantee that I'm out or not out on Friday nights where my friends are getting sauce. Instead, here with you making some podcasts. We'll go to Nantes hosting Angers in a Saturday relegation battle. Don't expect goals in the matchup. Quarter-goal favorites are Nantes at home with more juice. Totals 2.25, juice very heavily to under. I'm not so concerned with this falling to 2, as I don't think we see much scoring. This will be a very competitive matchup, I think. Lean to the road underdog as well. Just don't really trust them to score goals, so I might just go under on that one. Moving next to Angers hosting Strasbourg. Currently Angers quarter-goal underdogs at home. All the juice on Strasbourg away. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily to under as we speak. Strasbourg have been playing a lot of matches. They've changed managers after theirs fled for Chelsea. Angers have been, I think, really competitive all season. Have struggled to collect points late in matches, and that's certainly a demerit. But I think they play really well at home here. I like them at home. I want them to be a bigger underdog, so a draw will win me a full bet. We'll see if that happens. I think it will. And Strasbourg are a little bit different away from home. We'll see exactly how attacking Gary O'Neill wants to be outside of his Eastern France business. Building, all those sort of things. Toulouse then hosts Marseille in a matchup of the Coupe de France midweek. I hate when that happens. They played Wednesday on the road in Marseille. Now Toulouse are home for this matchup. Quarter-goal underdogs at home with more juice. I think it closed 3/4 of a goal or +1 midweek. Total this one's 2.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily, or a little bit more to over here, which is the low total, which doesn't make a ton of sense other than these two teams are very familiar with each other at this point. Lean to the home underdog, getting the 1/4 of a goal. Would certainly love to see a bigger number. Moving to Sunday, where we have most of the French Ligue 1 matches. We'll start with Lens, 1 3/4 goal favorites to Metz. Metz, a newly promoted Lens surprise leader of France for a lot of this season. Currently, Metz are going to be 1 3/4 goal underdogs. Totals 3 1/4. Mets are now playing pretty low scoring matches compared to what they've done all season. I like the idea of it. I don't like them going on the road to Lens. It's a really tough place to play, but the total's a lot bigger than I made it, so I lean that direction. Next, we'll move to Nice, hosting Rennes. Currently, Nice a pick'em at home. All the juice on Rennes away, which is saying something. Considering they've changed managers. They do have Nice's old manager, now the manager for Rennes. I don't really know what to do with Nice at this point in the season. I'm not really interested in backing them much. The total's a lot bigger than I made it, but that's probably a lot because of Nice's defense and struggles so far this year. They're in a relegation fight. Rennes have done great, and I'm surprised that Habibé has decided to leave, or was forced out. But to me, that's the side I want, and I don't really do road favorites. I need to get at least a quarter of a goal, and doesn't look we'll have that by Sunday morning. Lille then hosts Lorient in a battle of teams at different ends of the table, but Lorient, newly promoted, have done very, very well so far this season. Lille are 1-goal favorites, despite kind of struggling in Europa League and also a little bit in France this season. Totals 2.5. It's just a little bit more to over. The +1's bigger than I think it should be, and certainly does not reflect the opinion of the French market of Lille so far this season, which has been very, very optimistic. Lean to the road underdog there, +1. Le Havre then head on the road to Stade Brestois. They are 0.5-goal underdogs, a little bit more juice on Brest at home. Totals 2.5 in this one, juiced very heavily to under. Brest are a good team. They are veteran. They have a good manager. They know what they're doing. Le Havre are competitive, though, and I feel like this total feels a little bit, I guess it's where it should be. It's very juiced under to the 2.5. 2 1/4 doesn't really slight me too much or scare me too far away. It does pay you less when it ends 1-1. But I think the Le Havre sides where I'm interested at the moment, would love to see it get bigger as a price. I don't know that it will. Total's about where I made it, but I lean to under in that matchup. And we'll move to the last one in France on Sunday, and that is Lyon coming off of their Coupe de France on Thursday at home to Lens. They are 3/4 goal favorites right now to a darling of the French market, and that is FC Paris, who got promoted to Ligue 1 from Ligue 2 this season, first time in a while. Spent a lot of money, but not really getting like the most incredible players. They had some talent. They brought in some big French names that have been kind of cast-offs or getting older. And I don't think it's gone very well for Paris because they haven't scored much this year. That really scares me on the road at Lyon, who we know can score goals and have had a really great season despite having big-time financial troubles, woes, and forcing their president to step down. I don't know if there's much for me in that matchup, I got to say, unless Paris become a bigger underdog, total becomes a lot higher. I don't know if there's a lot for me there. So I might just look elsewhere for the ultimate best bet portion of the French part of the show. And I think I'm going to go with Lorient, that 1-goal underdog on the road at Lille. It's a tough place to play, but they haven't really shown it much this season. So I'll lean to FCL +1. Last but not least, we'll get to the German Bundesliga. We'll start on Saturday morning in the big slate of matches, 3:30 local time across Deutschland. We'll start with Mainz 05 of VfB Stuttgart. Currently, Mainz are a quarter-goal underdog at home with more juice on Stuttgart, reflecting their talent and how well they've played this season. Total is 3 in this one. Always a big number, especially for Urs Fischer playing, but he's honestly scored more goals so far this year, and that's made it harder for me to really stomach Urs Fischer of the past. He's gotten good results, but they've been 2-1 matches, it seems, all the time. Totals have been pretty small. Stuttgart are an over-scoring team, score a lot of goals, and that's definitely scary for the under 3, especially for a team that hasn't defended as well as I thought they would under one of the best tacticians out there in Germany. Wolfsburg then hosts Hamburg, and currently Wolfsburg quarter-goal favorites at home at the Hamburg plate. I think an extra match, a makeup match midweek. Total this one's 2 3/4, just pretty heavily to over right now. So could see a 3 here, and that's certainly something I'm waiting for. I'm not sure that I really trust Hamburg, one of the newly promoted, to score goals. Don't really trust that from Wolfsburg. They certainly have talent in their team. They're not really a goal-scoring side, haven't been for years, and I want that 3 if it will pop up. We'll next move to Heidenheim hosting Hoffenheim, 2 H's, but both clubs going very different directions. Currently, Heidenheim 1-goal underdogs at home as the favorite to go down this whole season so far. Hoffenheim, the biggest surprise, totals 3 1/4 right now, just more to the under. I don't know if there's much for me to do here other than look and stare at the home underdog getting a full goal of insurance and wonder how I keep that off my card. Next, we go to Leipzig, 1 1/4 goal underdogs at home to FC Augsburg. More juice on the home team, as it should be. Totals 3 1/4 in this one, just a little bit more to over. I don't really have much of a feel or desire to want to play Augsburg. Yes, their spread's a little bit bigger than I made. Yes, they did beat Bayern somehow on the road in Munich earlier this season, which is honestly one of the most surprising results of all this year. Going to Leipzig's not as difficult, but Leipzig are talented, and that's going to be a tough game for them. Moving next to Freiburg, quarter goal underdogs at home with all the juice to Bayer Leverkusen. Told them this one's 2.5, and it's juiced more to the over. Leverkusen are talented, but going on the road as a favorite to Freiburg is asking a lot. Freiburg have really struggled with the better clubs across Germany. I don't know that Leverkusen are that great. They've had a lot of players leave, enter, and change kind of the whole club around. Leading the home underdog, as always. To the Topspiel, the biggest matchup of the weekend, FC Köln and their big fan base play a local derby, if you will. I don't think it's really a big rivalry, but 3 quarter goal underdogs are Köln at home with almost all the juice. Total this one is 3, and it's juiced more to the over. Dortmund have been great defensively because Nico Kovac actually tries to defend. I love that about him. The spread's a little bigger than I made it. I'm interested in Köln. I think under 3 is also of interest. The big question, though, is Lucas Kwasniok, the Köln manager, he's been so aggressive all season. Has Köln made that their DNA and trying to stay up in the division because it hasn't gone so well lately? To Sunday, the last 2 matches we'll get through on this episode, get an ultimate best bet, and get the heck out of here. We'll start with FC St. Pauli. They are a pick'em at home right now to Eintracht Frankfurt, which shows how far Eintracht have fallen. Total in this one is 2.5, and it is juiced very heavily to under, which is amazing considering how it literally is amazing considering how there's been pretty much no goals scored in the St. Pauli matches, and Eintracht Frankfurt can't stop a nosebleed. That, I guess, lands us on a total of 2.5, which is still very low for a German Bundesliga matchup. That tells me that they're expecting a low-scoring matchup here. I think I agree with it. I'll trust that Eintracht Frankfurt are trying to improve their defense. They've certainly focused a lot more on it, but also St. Pauli are just inept and can't score goals. To the last matchup of this episode, we'll go FC Union Berlin, a quarter goal favorite at home to Werder Bremen. A little bit more juice on the home team there. Total this one is 2.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily to under, as it should be, because Union plays really physical, low-scoring matches. That's kind of what Werder Bremen have done. They haven't scored a lot of goals this season. Not so interested in the road underdog here, but I do like the under in that matchup. For my best bet from Deutschland or Alemania or Germany, I'll go under 2.5. That last matchup just discussed, Union Berlin hosting Werder Bremen. And that does it for this episode, but hang out. We're going to get to our ultimate best bet portion of the show. And, everyone's here looking for that one. So we might as well get into it. I don't know. Does now work for you? From England. And actually, before we get there, I want to plug the college basketball podcast with Big East Ben that's already out on this network, Betting the Pitch, Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify, at @TheReal_G Warner on YouTube and on Instagram if you want the real, which will come out based on this portion of the show. But from England, FA Cup, I like Norwich under 3 goals. In La Liga in Spain, I like Rayo Vallecano under 2.25. In Serie A in Italy, I like Milan and hosting Inter under 2.5 goals. In Ligue 1 in France, let's go Lorient, a 1-goal underdog. And in the German Bundesliga, we're going Werder Bremen under 2.5 goals. But for the ultimate best bet on this episode, we are going with AC Milan hosting Inter under 2.5 goals. And we'll see you in the next episode coming up. Make sure you hit subscribe, follow me, hit patreon.com/real_G Warner for all my plays across the entire college basketball season, soccer season, everything that comes through.
Recording stopped.